Okay, as chair, I'm calling this meeting to order now. And we've already determined that with 9 people, we've made quorum, so we will be able to vote on things tonight, which is exciting because that number actually depends on the number we had in the original organizing meeting, which was just a few weeks ago on the state convention day. So with that number being 18, 40% was 8. And so we have quorum for that. And as far as I know, that should follow for the rest of our meetings because we're not making a bylaw to change any of that, although we will be doing a membership bylaw. So I had an agenda, and what I would like to do next is just to have people say who they are in your county or town if you wish, and just briefly anything else that you would like to add. I'm not gonna do the embarrassment of icebreakers. I don't feel like I should tell anyone what kind of information to share, so it's totally up to you what you would like to say. I'll start with myself, Julie Russell Stewart, chair of this caucus, and I'm an artist, printmaker. I will tell you my disability is hard of hearing, but feel no obligation to say anything on that if you want. And I am very pleased to be entering another term for Disability Caucus, and I'm excited to see what a new makeup of members and people that want to be involved will be doing with this platform and this opportunity that we have. So that's it for me. I'm gonna popcorn it over to James. And I'm gonna mute my.
Hi, I'm James Temple from Des Moines, Iowa, Polk County, Southside Des Moines, and just good to be here at this meeting. And well, that's all for now. Thanks.
And I guess I'll choose Derek. Would you like to say hello?
Hi, Derek Fike. I'm
Elk Run Heightened. Elk Run High.
Elk's right, Elk Run Heights. Accident. All I had a accident. Brain thing.
Left brain.
Yeah. So yeah. So yay.
Yeah, thank you, Derek. I should mention that I just met Derek a few weeks ago at the rally that was at Waterloo for reproductive rights. And so I invited him to come into this, and I feel like it's going to be great to have up here. The chat window is also a place where you can type if you feel comfortable doing that too, Derek.
It's the never mind the tablet.
Oh, okay. It's harder on the tablet.
Yeah.
And he's from Elk Run Heights. Shelley or Dawn, I noticed you. That's Waterloo area.
Yeah.
Mhm. And I
And-
forgot to say, I always forget, I'm in Grundy County. Over here in rural Grundy County. So I'm gonna leave the leadership for last.
I have
Aphasia.
Phasia.
Okay. Right. I guess I'll pick next. Let's hear from Jordan.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jordan True. I'm from Mason City originally. My partner and I moved to Des Moines from Los Angeles in April. And I had a brain injury in 2016. I have ADHD and I went undiagnosed as a kid. Then I have, like anxiety, depression, and I hurt my leg pretty bad in 2016 also in a motorcycle accident. And I just want to advocate and use experience I've had in like different elected offices or campaigns. And I really like lobbying and meeting one-on-one or in small groups with legislators and their staff to try and get favorable outcomes. I think they're a lot easier to reach in a small room than yeah. Anyway, I'm looking to get involved. So if there's projects you need help on, or if you want someone in Des Moines to either organize or lead like lobbying, I'm very interested in doing something like that.
Thanks so much. Let's hear from Dawn.
Hi, I'm Dawn Pulowski. I live in Iowa City. I have a psychiatric disability, migraine headaches, and an eye condition. So thanks for having this meeting.
Thanks so much for coming, Dawn. Amelia?
Hi, everyone. Amelia Drink. I am in Iowa City, Iowa. I'm a person who identifies as having a disability, hard of hearing, not very good eyesight, and a physical disability as well as anxiety. I am interested in getting involved with disability advocacy and justice. So I'm excited to be here tonight.
Really glad to have you. Thank you. Let's say, Jen, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Jen Wolf. I live with a physical disability. I'm a wheelchair user. Also deal with some mental health, depression, anxiety. I am, because I've been inspired by all of you, I am running for office. So I'm running for Iowa State Senate District 29.
Wow.
And I just want to thank all of you for being here and being motivated to be here.
Eric?
Hi, I'm Eric from Waterloo, Blackhawk County, and I'm a part of the AAPI caucus. And in my community, I'm known as Mr. Everywhere because I'm involved in just about everything in Waterloo. Basically around the city and different community activities. So I'm just here to hopefully become a re-upped member. I was a member of the Disability Caucus last year. And so I'm back again. Thank you.
Thanks so much. And thank you, Eric, for having been part of our leadership for the last 2 years. And I'd like to introduce
Welcome.
Julie next.
Okay, I'm Julie Zhao. My birthday's this week and I'm turning 65. Woo! I live in West Bend, which is in Palo Alto County. We're home of the Grotto of the Redemption. And if anybody ever is passing through and, you know, wants somebody to show them around, I would be happy to do that. I started sitting in on the Zoom meetings last summer. I have a daughter who was born with a mental disability, and having, you know, an adult child, you never quit hoping that things go well for them or working to find ways for, you know, to help them. And that's why I'm interested in this group. And it's so nice to see new faces that I haven't seen before. Maybe I just don't have a very good memory, but I think some of you are new, and I think that's great because every organization needs new people coming in with their new ideas and their new energy. And that's really great. Thank you.
Thanks, Julie. And it was a pleasure to sit next to Julie for the state convention a couple of weeks ago. And I want to take this opportunity to introduce our new vice chair now, Garrett Frey. He's been a long time member of this caucus, longer than I have been, and he is a great advocate. He does such a good job sharing, you know, the hows and whys. We need, for example, better home care workforce, and we need the legislation that supports better wages. And he can say all this stuff so much better than I can. So I'm going to let you introduce yourself, Garrett.
Oh, thank you, Julie. My name is Garrett Fry. I live in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, or Lake County. I've been a disability advocate for a long time. I live with a spinal cord injury that I suffered when I was 4 years old. I was in a motorcycle accident with my father. So I'm now 40 years old, and I am just here to be a disability advocate and trying to support one another, working together to try to make a positive difference and make a positive impact on others' life, and then anything I can do with you know, our group, our constituent caucus as a whole. I am there 110%. So thank you for having me, and we will continue with our meeting.
Thanks so much. And I'm excited to see what you'll be doing as vice chair. We don't seem to have our SCC provisional member on, but her name is Cassandra Carlson, and I met her at state convention when she came in person to our organizing meeting. So hopefully we will be seeing her soon. Our next meeting actually is going to be in August. I mean, in September. Taking August off, which we are actually one of the most active caucuses, I would say. If you want to get to know some of the other caucuses, the other active ones are Rural Caucus, Black Caucus, Progressive Caucus, and I would say probably Native American Caucus I'm looking at to be more active, as Sarah Young Bear Brown just became the chair of it after being vice chair for 2 years. And she's a great activist, so I can see her probably having more meetings than were held. I'm gonna move to our next thing, which is this membership bylaw. And I will read it out loud, and it also came by email to you. The reasoning for this is that it has been only the organizing meeting members that are automatically becoming members for the term. And that seems totally unfair to the members that we've brought in over the last 2 years, for them to have to start over in their membership. You know, why make it harder to stay engaged with our caucus? So what I'd like to do is I'm going to read this out loud and ask if you have any questions on it first. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen on this document. Okay. Okay, the voting membership of the Disability Caucus of the Iowa Democratic Party shall consist of the attendees of the biannual organizing meeting by default by individuals added by successful balloting over the course of the term and does not expire. A member can leave at any time and revoke membership. A member may also be removed by leadership if the member no longer meets requirements for membership by audit or commits grievous actions not in keeping with the stated values and goals of the caucus. A member may be reinstated once requirements are met again and ratified by a 2/3 vote of the participating caucus membership. So our only actual requirement is that you be a registered Democrat in the state of Iowa. And I have some limited access to VAN currently as chair and as an SCC member, where I can look up your party affiliation. So that's what that means in terms of an audit. And the mission and value statement right below here, I'll read. And this is kind of a work in progress. It could be fleshed out better, but our purpose right now is advocating fiercely on disability issues for Iowans by raising awareness, activating on policy, and giving a voice and platform to people with disabilities in the Iowa Democratic Party, open to all Democrats that identify as disabled and their allies. So I don't anticipate there'll be anything that would actually necessitate removing a member. But these are very simple value statements, and as long as you support people with disabilities and you are, you know, behaving in a good way, that's all that is. Does anyone have any questions on this statement before we you know, is there discussion on this? Even would there be some kind of wording that could be better? Feel free to make an amendment, since we have a meeting in progress here that you can do that.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
What was the thing you said before you brought up the document about how, I'm sorry, my bird is loud, about some people being removed from membership?
Well, we have a line in here that says leadership could remove a member. You know, say someone does something that hurts a disabled person, or, you know, in some way slanders someone who is, you know, who should not be attacked in any way. It's just to say that we support people with disabilities. You know, we're not going to act against people with disabilities.
Okay, sorry,
Or,
that's,
you
I
know,
didn't explain it very well the first time. Okay, so I'm going back. So you said the reasoning for this is it has been only the organizing meeting members that are automatically becoming members for the term, and that seems unfair to the members that we brought in? That's what I'm asking about.
Right, okay, well, for example, Julie joined this caucus, I think back in January, maybe officially, or before that. And anyway, so, and if she had not been at the meeting a couple weeks ago at state convention, her membership would have expired. But I assume she would still like to be part of the caucus. So by having a non-expiring membership, we're allowing people to continue unless they write to me and say, oh, I don't wish to be in this anymore. So you're
Okay, so the part that says does not expire would fix that.
right,
Okay,
yes. Okay,
okay, thank you.
anything else?
No.
Anything else from anyone else? Garrett?
All people are welcome usually, right? Truly to attend our meetings. So they can feel free to join at any time. Is that correct still?
Yeah, you can join. If you tell me that you would like to be a member and you do attest that you're a registered Democrat, then I could put your name on a ballot. And then if you don't have quorum at a meeting, I generally put your name on a ballot after we meet and send it out to the entire membership. And that actually fulfills the quorum, or opening it up to everyone to vote. And if someone doesn't vote, that's a spoiled ballot. So, so yes, we can bring in new members at any time. I just have to know who they are and be able to put them on a ballot to send out. And all of you, anyone that isn't currently a member right now can tell me today or whenever you want that you would like to join and become a voting member. Which kind of begs the question, I probably didn't think of this before, but if you're a voting member right now, that would be Eric, Julie, Jen, Garrett, James. I think you are an original 2020 member. So you are still, I believe, a voting member. So that kind of does make things a little bit more, a little less obvious. But I believe that once we have a quorum, we can still vote. And if we have a majority vote, it will still stand.
Julie, one of the reasons I came to this meeting was my membership needed to be removed or needed to be renewed for this term, for being part of this caucus, because I switched caucuses when I voted at the state convention. So I'm a part of the AAPI in terms of voting as part of that caucus. So to become a member of this caucus as well, that's why I'm here to renew my membership, because technically, like you were talking about with expiring memberships, well, my membership expired from last term. So I'm trying to re-up.
So what it would make sense to do is to vote on this, and then we can ratify all members that were already previous members. That's what I would like to do. Does that sound all right?
That's okay with me.
I'm going to stop a share. Answering Dawn's question, says you could only be in one caucus. Not exactly true. Some caucuses like this one and Progressive Caucus, and I'm assuming AAPI caucus, are open throughout the term to adding new members, not just the ones on the organizing meeting. So yes, it's true, you can be part of more than one caucus, but it depends on which one. And I would suggest that if you want to be part of another one, to contact them and ask about that. We have a page on our IDP. It's under the conventions. Let's see if we can find the link to that, which lists all the caucuses. And it also lists how to get in contact with them. So that link just went to your chat window there. If you just click on that and open it up, and you can maybe look at it later, you'll see that it has a list of all caucuses. Then if you click on them, you'll get their contact information. Okay, I'm gonna try a vote by say aye if you approve of this membership bylaw, or if you wish to raise your hand. In fact, I think I would rather people raise their hands. Under the reactions button, the little smiley face there, you can click raise hand. And Jen's raising her hand. I see that. Yeah, I think definitely we have approved this membership bylaw. Thank you very much. Amelia, you're going to be good to vote for the next time, for sure. We just had to pass this bylaw. And now I would like you to raise your hand if you would like to ratify all members that were added in the 2020 to 2020 term, so that they do not have to renew their membership or do anything else. And Amelia, I would like to add you to the ballot that will go out after this meeting. And if there's anyone else that would like to be added to the ballot, please let me know.
I would, please. This is Eric.
Ballot.
Yes, let me just write that down by hand. Actually, Eric, you're already ratified because we just were ratified you right now.
Okay.
I think we're good with that. So I'm just writing down Dawn or Shelley and Amelia. Derek, did you want to be added to the ballot?
Yes.
Okay, I think we got that. Great. We can move on with our agenda. So the next thing on the agenda is my report. And that's something I usually do every meeting, is just let you all know what's been happening in the caucus. any SCC meeting information I have. We had state convention not too long ago, and a constitutional amendment particular to the caucuses was passed. It was written by Kiran Patel, who's the vice chair, or yes, vice chair of Asian Pacific Islander caucus that Eric's part of. And she had been the chair of that caucus, but she wrote an amendment that would change the time and date of the constituency caucus elections. So apparently we used to have them at a convention of all of the constituency caucuses, used to meet together and, do more things together, like maybe have some joint workshops on how to legislate. I'm just guessing here, because I never actually attended one of these conventions. And so the election of all the caucus leadership can happen on the convention. And I'm just going to read what that is here. I'll go ahead and share my screen too. So we were really happy to pass this because the timing of our caucus election at 8:30 in the morning on state convention was difficult for some people to attend, whether they came in person and had to be actually physically present at state convention, even if they weren't a delegate, or attended virtually. So here is the amendment. Membership of these constituency caucuses shall consist of each of the groups registered Democratic representation at their respective biennial organizing meeting during the odd-numbered year constituency caucus convention. To recognize that individuals have intersectional identities, caucus meetings will be staggered to allow membership in multiple constituency caucuses. To promote accessibility and inclusion, hybrid and/or virtual methods of participation will be supported. Each caucus shall elect a caucus chair by a majority vote and a caucus vice chair, also by a majority vote, to be the representatives on the state central committee. A provisional SCC member will be elected by a majority vote if the chair or the vice chair also holds another position on the SCC. The results of the said elections shall be reported to and ratified by the entire constituency caucus convention. We are currently not sure of the actual wording of the final amendment, because there was another amendment passed that had to do with when the voting would take place for constituency caucuses. And that one actually should not take precedent over this one, because this one was passed later. It's all due to Robert's rules. And so we haven't gotten the exact wording on this yet, but I do kind of have a question on it because it appears that a provisional SCC member would only be added if we had a chair like myself or a vice chair that had another position on the SCC. And that frankly is not something I agree with, because the provisional member should be available if I or if the vice chair cannot make the SCC meeting at all. Garrett would come to the meeting if I couldn't make it, but what if Garrett can't make it either? That's why we have that SCC member who is a provisional member. So, and I would argue that point, and we'll see where the language ends up being on that. So that actually was good news for accessibility for the elections. And Don asked, the provisional number is like an alternate. Yeah, that's a good way of describing it. So the next thing I have for you is I am big on documentation, so I take lots of pictures. I'm going to have a slideshow now of the activities of the caucus. So bear with me. It's one of my favorite things to do. So I've got a little bit of activities to catch up on. This picture is from my portable printing press when I went to the Climate Justice Summit. And I think that would have been in April. So I went with the idea that I wanted to find out what connections I could make with climate justice warriors on how, you know, people with disabilities face the emergencies. And, you know, as Garrett very much knows, and he's told his story before, being stuck in an apartment when a derecho went by and not having emergency generator for your ventilator, or having even a place to go with power, despite having called virtually every hospital in the area that would have emergency backup generators. I mean, obviously there's some place where we are falling through the cracks in helping anyone with a disability deal with these climate disasters that are going to be happening now that we've got climate crises that are just coming on us one after another, it seems like. Back to the slideshow though, these are two women from the Great Plains Action Society, one of the sponsors of the Climate Justice Summit. And it rained on our rally, which was just fine. I think it was a rain blessing from Mother Earth. So here are just some pictures of the people rallying there. So this was in Des Moines. And lots of great speakers, especially talking about the pipeline, and we continue to, I pay attention to what's happening on all over Iowa. Different people are activating on this issue right now, especially farm owners who own land, or anyone really that's concerned about the health of carbon capture pipelines coming through our land. And I wanted to point out that we had ASL for this Climate Justice Summit, which as a 4-day event, they were primarily there for Sarah Young Bear Brown, but I was very pleased at that accessibility. Here are some of my prints that are posted on the Mid-American Energy building, which was only a few blocks away from the Climate Justice Summit. So they marched over there and made a big statement. Those were just some shots that I did of the posters when I went back. The next thing here, this is the rally for reproductive rights, the first one that I attended, and it's for the missing, murdered, and Indigenous relatives rally that was put on by, again, the climate justice people, the Great Plains Action Society, a group of Indigenous people who, you know, are activating on the pipeline, but are also activating on reproductive rights for Indigenous. And I was invited to speak in terms of the disability community and how getting rid of our, freedom on that impacts us, as well as share a little bit of the history of eugenics and the disability community and forced sterilization. This is actually Progressive Caucus Vice Chair Tracy Murphy, who spoke on behalf of Progressive Caucus, and actually at the same time revealed some Native American history that she has in her personal family line. This is actually my big banner that I made there, Reproductive Justice Now. And this was held out at the Women of Achievement Bridge in Des Moines, which was really perfect when we were all organizing, sitting in an organizing meeting for this. They were like, why go to the Capitol? Nothing good happens there anyway. And so some of them said, oh, well, there's this wonderful place just here. So they chose this, and it was a great place to do that. Okay, moving on to the Disability Rights Forum that we had with Deidre Degier. And we had a good number of people attending in person, I would say around 30-ish, and we had more people online, and unfortunately I don't have a number for that, but we were live streaming to YouTube channel. The Facebook Live didn't end up working, but good thing we had two platforms to live stream to, because the YouTube channel worked fine. And it was an open access event, which means that if you showed up, you could expect to see the captioning, the cart, like you see on the screen here, and the ASL interpreter, as well as other accessibility and general ADA features. We had, I think, a fantastic event, and if you were part of the planning and all this, thank you very much for working on it with me. We had an informational meeting prior to the event with Deidre Degier to get her up to speed on the different topics that we wanted to address. So, climate emergency preparedness for people with disabilities was one topic.
Could I get the
we have a video. Yeah.
yeah
Mhm.
the yes
That's right. We'll be sure to share that again. So that was really great to take part in. And we want to kind of, especially if she becomes governor, we want to kind of hold her accountable on a lot of these different topics that we feel are important. It was moderated by CJ Peterson. That's him right there. And he did an excellent job. I admire people who have the gift of gab, that's for sure. So this is Carolyn, and I met her at the Climate Justice Summit, and she's become a member too. She's going to be helping us out. Wasn't able to make it tonight. And then Jen Wolf here with me and CJ. And Eric and Josh Turek is running for a House or Senate or House district. It's up Council Bluffs, I think. And he uses a wheelchair, and I believe he's a Paralympic basketball athlete, as well as a consultant for, I believe, accessibility, like equipment.
So yeah, he's Iowa House District 20, That's the Council Bluffs area, one of the 2 districts out in the area
Mhm,
in Potawatomi County.
mhm. Okay, yeah, I know I can always count on Eric to tell me what's what, who's doing what. This is the
That's
convention.
just because I know Josh. I mean, I know Josh outside of politics.
Oh, okay. So this is state convention. This is Kieran of AAPI caucus with me. And here's some of our Progressive Caucus members. The lady in white is Holly Herbert. She is the platform chair. And then this is Jody Clemens. She is a DNC member and great former Birdie organizer. And then Kim Callahan, she is the secretary for Progressive Caucus. And this shows you our accessibility available with these 2 big screens and the card captioning on it, which is really important. I would have been completely lost without it. And here's Eric. He stepped to the mic for a moment to say something, but I'm not sure what it was. What
I
were you
was
talking about?
thinking I was nominating somebody for a position, and I think they lost the lost the position. They lost the contest for the position that I nominated them for.
Right.
I think I was nominating somebody for something.
You were nominating RRS.
RIS Stewart to be the affirmative action chair.
For affirmative action. And then our winner was
DeMarcus Carter.
DeMarcus. Okay, DeMarcus Carter.
Yep.
This is just a shot that I wanted to show because it's got CJ and then Tracy and then Holly back here all lined up in front of the microphone. So, you know, when you're part of a caucus, you're actually part of a very strong, I feel, representative group. I mean, you have the potential to really make your voices heard, I think, within the Iowa Democratic Party, because we have 12 caucuses plus 2 we just added at state convention, which are Climate Caucus and Arab American Caucus. So we've added 2 more, and here is everyone lined up to speak on an issue, and CJ is chair of Stonewall Caucus, which is the LGBTQIA focus caucus. And then Tracy is in Progressive and Holly was the platform chair. So well, they all had quite a lot to say. So moving on to another rally, reproductive rally. This was in Waterloo, actually Cedar Falls. And this is a caucus member, Elizabeth, who came to our virtual organizing meeting. And Chris Schwartz, you might know him. I don't think he's the supervisor anymore, or he is not running for Blackhawk County supervisor this time around. Then here's the rally that I met Derek and met Tucker in person for the first time. And I also was able to speak at this one. And this is Carissa Froyam, who is running for the HD district in the same area as Jen, right? So this was a great outreach for us to meet people and meet Tucker in person. And then we have this picture of all of us that we did. Okay, this is just this past Sunday. the progress, Sam Blatz, she asked me to speak at the rally for Waterloo after meeting her in the Cedar Falls one and also the one in Des Moines. So this is Des Moines on Sunday. This is my daughter Venus, actually, with her own sign that she made. And I didn't tell her what to write whatsoever, but apparently she's been learning from me.
Mhm.
And it was a really good crowd. I think, Jen, were you there? Or I didn't meet so many people that were actually there, but I was just snapping pictures up here. I think that there were about 2,000 people is what I heard. So they were everywhere, you know, in the shade back there behind the trees. We heard from different communities. I represented disability community and she was representing LGBTQ community, and we had Latinx and Black communities represented because it's important to understand the issue of abortion rights and reproductive health care from many different perspectives. So it was educational on that for people attending. And I think also had the effect of bringing everyone together to realize that together we can make our voices heard even louder if we understand that it's all intersectional. We all need to come together. So that was just a few more pictures from that. And then the Daily Iowan caught this shot of me. And when I saw that, I just laughed and laughed because it's like, am I doing a rain blessing here? Or what is this? But I believe I had just stepped back to show my shirt, like, okay, this is the shirt I'm wearing. And that shot was just so funny. Anyway, I was honored to be able to speak on behalf of disability. I'm working on a video from several recordings to be able to share and put it up on our YouTube channel. So that's it kind of for the past couple months. Any questions on any of that or comments? Julie, I see you have your hand raised, unless you kind of forgot. Oh, okay. I don't even know how you lower hands at this point, but. Okay, if no questions on that, I'll move on from show and tell. And back to my agenda. Okay, this Saturday we have a SCC meeting, the State Central Committee. So as chair and any other constituency caucus chairs are automatically members of the State Central Committee, which is considered the governing body of the Iowa Democratic Party. And we get together at least once every 3 months to have a meeting and pass resolutions, conduct business, hear about the budget for the Iowa Democratic Party in a closed session, and hear reports of what the caucuses are doing. So I'll probably be doing a shorter version of some of that. And it's up to you, actually. Anyone can attend. You can come to the meeting at 2 on Saturday, and it's going to have an agenda which will include some interesting things, I think, like how is our coordinated campaign doing? how are we doing in terms of organizing for the 2020 midterms, 2022 midterms? And also, there's going to be a state convention review. So like the constitutional amendment I just described that we passed, they'll probably be sharing more. Maybe they'll share the actual language of that. They'll share what other things passed. Is anyone interested in attending that meeting at 2? It's virtually. It's also in person at 2. And just let me know and I can send you the information to register for it.
So Julie, I'll be there for the AAPI caucus because I'm a provisional member and I'm going to be there in the morning for the training as well. But I think I've already got the links and information. But I was just letting you know I'd be there.
Okay, and yeah, I'm sure Garrett's been sent the information too. Right. So if anyone else wants to attend that, just let me know.
Where
It's going to be virtually
yeah,
on Zoom, if that's the easiest thing.
yeah.
You're welcome to. If you want, I can send you the link to register for it.
Okay.
Okay. And it could, these SEC meetings can kind of go long, especially if we have a lot of information to go over. Yeah, I see Eric nodding his head like, yes, I know what 6-hour meeting you're talking about.
No, I don't know what 6-hour meeting are you talking about? Because there were several. There were multiple of those meetings.
There were multiple 6-hour meetings, but
Yes.
leave at any time. Unless you're an SEC member and they really don't like it when you just up and leave.
Well, I'm one of those SEC provisional alternates that somebody asked about in this meeting. So, you know, at some point I can just leave at any time.
Yeah, you could. You're off the hook now, Eric.
Yeah.
Okay, the next thing I was gonna say is I wanted to give Jen Wolf a chance to introduce herself and give us an update on her campaign. She is running to kick Sandy Salmon out of here. Iowa Senate District 29, which is, I guess, a lot of Bremer County, a lot of Butler County, Chickasaw. What's the last county? Help me out here.
Part of Floyd.
Floyd. Okay, we forgot Floyd. Would you like to say how your campaign is going and share the information on how we can get involved?
I'll probably send you links. I think that will be the easiest way to send it out to folks rather than put it in the chat. We've got a website going. We've got, it's Jen Wolf for Senate on Facebook. And next week, technically I'll be nominated on Saturday at a special nominating convention. So to officially get on the ballot. So we've kind of been taking things slow and we'll speed things up starting next week. Hopefully doing more social media and just getting out there. My campaign is a campaign to care. It's all about the care crisis that got me started in Iowa, the home and community-based services. But then the realization that it's also impacting childcare, it's also impacting older Iowans, it's also impacting our mental health. And so I want to be able to raise those issues to a higher level. Plus, it's a great way to re-meet my community after COVID. And I shouldn't say after COVID because we're still in the midst of it. But yeah, Sandy Salmon has not been voting in favor of we'll just stop there. I'm just going to stop there because I could go downhill on that one. But my hair is purple because I think a lot of the issues that we're dealing with should be nonpartisan. And it's very unfortunate that we've made these party lines that make it really impossible to get anything done. But yeah, I'm new at this. I have really very little idea of what I'm doing, but we're doing it anyway, in hopes of making a dent. I saw that Josh was running and made the mistake of asking Julie and a few others at the Deidre DeGeri event, can somebody still run for office after the primary? You know, if they're not involved in the primaries, and this is where I'm at.
Awesome.
Hey,
Let's-
Jen, why don't
Yes,
you tell
sir.
the story? Why don't you tell the story about who had the phone to recruit you to call the right person so that
Oh, that
you
would
could
be
get
Eric.
recruited? Yeah,
That would be Mr. Everywhere.
I knew exactly who to contact to make sure that ball got rolling.
Yes. So I've got lots and lots of people to thank or accuse for making me do this.
I
And Dawn-
accept both. Thanks and accused.
Dawn, that's a really good question about the carbon pipeline. What I'm hearing, like two different things. That the farmers and environmentalists are against it, period. That it's bad for the farmland for many years afterwards. And the fact that the government is using eminent domain for a private entity rather than a public is not good. However, the unions are for it because it brings in jobs. That's what I've heard about the carbon pipeline so far.
It's actually kind of a lie about the jobs, because the actual building of it is probably going to go to out-of-state contractors.
Thank you. I needed that. Thank you.
The maintenance and everything to do with having the pipelines maintained could be some local people, but it's simply
3
not
jobs, like 5 jobs.
right. Right.
Yeah.
Mhm. It's not significant, yet the unions will say that it's jobs. But it's interesting that the ALCIFO, if that is correct, is sort of holding their mouths shut on it, I think. The local unions are not vocally for it, the smaller ones. So, okay, I probably shouldn't say anything more unless I actually have really good proof of that. But I think that there's movement on this issue, and there will be, especially since they just had a big meeting at the Iowa Utilities Board, a very well-attended meeting, and they are making their voices heard. There's a lot of good organizing around this issue. Hi, yes?
I need you to take me.
Let me mute this for a second. I have a question. Thank you for being patient. I'd like to thank Jen again for stepping up, and I'm very excited about your campaign, Jen, and I hope that we're going to be making some good headway into elevating disability issues and making progress on that. It so needs to be done, so thank you, thank you. Speaking of disability issues, the forum that we did with Deidre has led to an opportunity where we now have a disability coalition with her campaign. And so myself and a woman who has a sister with a developmental disability who runs a coffee shop in Independence. She is a co-chair along with Alex Waters, a co-chair of this disability coalition. So what we're doing so far is we've had one meeting, and our next meeting is July 25th at 7:30 over Zoom, or actually it's over Google Meet. And we probably are gonna discuss the document that we've been collaboratively working on to come up with some campaign talking points, and sort of continues on with the issues that we talked about already on the Disability Rights Forum. And another thing, I think there's a statistic that I kind of need to look up, but I'm very interested in reaching out to those that are probably going to have some difficulty voting because of the changes in the voter rules that have made it more difficult for people to get out and vote, especially our disability community. So I am got a little bit of a pet project idea that I want to reach our voters with disabilities however we can, and help them get to the polls to make sure the voice is heard, whether it's by absentee ballot or in person or a ballot box. There was a statistic that I'm not remembering correctly right now, but it is something like we have only got about 11% of the disability community voting. That's unacceptable. Our voice needs to be much bigger than that. Everyone here knows that disability will affect you at some point in your life, whether you're older, it's getting harder to move around, or losing your hearing. So the fact that our state needs to care more in general about this community, which only elevates everyone when they do, is a huge and way to bring everyone together and say, we need this for everyone. So I want to engage the community better, and that is something that I haven't actually done yet. Maybe I'm ready now to find the ways to reach everyone with your help. So I've got a little bit of a pet project for the midterms, is reach those communities and get them engaged and help them figure out how they're going to get their vote accomplished. So now I'd like to open it up. Don, I see your question. I'm going to make sure that you are on my email list. I think you are, and I will send out an invitation to the July 25th, which is in basically a week, meeting on the Disability Coalition. So I'll send information to everyone on that. So let's open it up now. I see that we lost Jordan at some point, and I think he's going to have a lot to contribute, especially the idea of doing some legislative work that maybe would start in January. He sounds like he really wants to work on lobbying. So I kind of have his contribution in mind in terms of where we're going for the next year or so. So I'll open it up to you guys. What do you think? What kind of advocacy would you like to see happening from us? I'm going to mute myself for now. So just pop up and speak.
Brain injury waiver for 9 years.
Yeah.
Brain injury waiver for 9 years.
Yeah, I have, yeah, the 5,
Are you still on a waiting list?
yeah,
Still waiting. Wow, okay.
yeah.
Yeah, that's unacceptable. So yeah,
9.
5,
9 years.
yeah.
Wow, yes, we have been told again and again that the wait list for any waiver on Medicaid is incredibly long. And it's completely unfair. I cannot believe 9 years you've been waiting for
yeah,
some kind of assistance and help. That's so not acceptable. Okay, I've made a note of that for advocacy. Don asked,
Okay,
is that a
um,
federal or state issue? I believe probably state because we're talking about
yeah,
Medicaid.
Iowa Medicaid. It's actually DHS and Iowa Medicaid probably.
yeah,
You do not have Medicare, do you?
yeah,
Do you have Medicare?
yeah.
Oh,
Both,
yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's something we need to talk about, focus on. Yeah, that's mind boggling. I know, and Jen Wolf knows, as well as Eric, there's a lot of us that have had many issues with Medicaid for quite a while. And we're all kind of in the same boat. We're
I
doing
know,
to, yeah, all the advocates, but also advocates for each other. I may reach out to you because I have some contacts that I may be able to talk to and help you out. But nothing is guaranteed, and
yeah,
nothing happens overnight. But we can discuss that a little bit later. Sorry, one-on-one. Yeah, I don't want to really talk too much about myself, but I just lately I was on the waiting list and had to ask to be on like the what's it called? It's like one. It's almost like first come first serve, but it's called something special. I can't think of the name right now. But right now, I actually, as of 2 weeks ago tomorrow, I actually am receiving 24/7 healthcare. So that is wonderful. Yeah, yeah,
wow,
you're being amazed. And well, I'll talk to you, Jen, personally later, but I don't want to discuss everything.
yeah,
But it's been a fight for over 10 years, but it's something that a lot of us kind of need, or even if you need like some help, any help at all does matter. I want you to know, Derek, that you are a human being and you deserve to be treated fairly. And you are a person that deserves all rights just like anyone else. And I will definitely be there to help you the best that I can. So I think I have your email. So please just look for it. But I'll write you an email soon. It may not be tonight or tomorrow, but I'll remember your name. Yeah.
Thank you.
That's all.
And I can help facilitate exchange of emails too.
Julie, as far as I'm aware, this issue is both federal and state issue.
Yep.
Because the federal government passes through to the state the amount of money that the state gets for the funding, and then the state decides how they're going to dole that out to the individual members asking for the funding. So it's both.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So is there anything that is on someone's mind for the next couple months? Obviously, we have the big election and wanting to reach the disability community as a voting bloc to give them the power of their voice, make sure it's being heard. And the advocacy, I think, can continue, whether it's in legislative session or out, because even if we're out of legislative session, we can be raising awareness on, hey, there's a waiting list for the brain injury waiver, incredibly long one. You can be telling people the truth of what's happening so that more people will care about it. So is there anything else that someone wants to bring up right now that feel like needs attention? And Garrett, you have your hand raised.
We can talk about Don's question first. And I think they're still working on that. I don't know if it's passed yet. It may be only in the House and the federal, the House that I think is talking about it or has passed. But it still needs to go to the Senate, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, anybody, but that is another big issue that's out there. The only thing I thought of was to work with maybe the DD Council or the Developmental Disability Council, because they are always working hard with different legislative projects and updates, and they're always trying to do what's best. But again, like I said, it's a slow process, but the more information that we have, the better. And then lastly, like you said, Julie, just getting out the word to vote and like help out Jen, help out anyone else that is a candidate, and to help spread the word, just to get out, use your voice to support candidates that we feel should be in either the House or the Senate, or whether it's in the gubernatorial race, the governor. Talking to your friends, your neighbors, your family, and just trying to make sure they're registered to vote, asking them simple questions. So are you a Democrat, or do you know where you vote? And then making sure that they get their vote either in early or go on the day of election. So, and we only have a little over 3 months for that. So, I think those are the key points that we should be thinking about. Just collaboratively working with other disability groups and then voting. Getting out the way to vote. So that's all I have. I want to see that and CCO pay per hour. Is that a state issue? Yes, it's a state issue. CDAC, it ranges. Right now, it's depends on like some people get as low as like $9-10 up to 14, maybe 15 at the max, and then CCO pay per hour. It also ranges. It comes out to be like about $19-20 an hour per hour, and then we both have to remember that taxes are not considered and people do not receive benefits that either for either one of those. So at the end of the year when we file tax, our providers, our caregivers do taxes, it actually is a little bit less than that. So it ranges out probably to $17-16 an hour for CCO, and then CDAC, of course, like you want to always consider about 30%. We'll go back to taxes, but yeah, it's complicated. It's a mess. Yeah, you really don't want to be in it unless you have to be, but it's unfortunate that a lot of people are getting some minimum wage for what they do every day. It's kind of a sad and frustrating thing that we all go through, but like that could be another issue that we focus on as the Democratic Disability Caucus is talk about those two services and try to tell legislators that we need a fair and equitable wage increase.
Just to summarize what you were saying, do you mean the care workforce wages? Is that
Okay.
talked about, or some minimum
That,
wages for?
I see that the wages are basically like $10 to $14, $15 an hour, but then you have to take out taxes.
Right.
And for CCO, it's about $19 or $20, and then they take out taxes at the end of the year.
Yeah, that's one of the things that people have been talking about a lot is that workforce crisis, not being able to keep people in those positions,
But like Jen
have care.
said, it,
So
it's all across the state of Iowa, but it's really an issue across our entire country. So it's really upsetting to many more than just the state of Iowa. But yeah, it's definitely something that we can discuss in our upcoming meeting. But it all has to do with home and community-based services. One of the sections under home and community-based services.
I have a question from Dawn, and she's asking about the increase for people with SSI to be able to save up to 10,000 is a federal bill, and that is correct. I just brought up something on here because Social Security for supplemental income is limited to $2,000 in assets. And if this bill, which is a good thing to advocate on, would increase that to $10,000 and then $20,000 for married couples. So being able to keep your assets, your bank account or whatever is worth that much money and not have your care taken away because you make too much money would lift so many people out of poverty, because that's forced poverty, essentially. Either you get taken care of or you have no money. I mean, it's unfair. So that is something that's going through as a federal bill right now. And it would be, let's see, sponsored by 2 Ohio senators, Democrats Sherrod Brown and Republican Senator Rob Portman. They've teamed up to introduce the bill. So that is good news, and I hope that that would pass, of course. Don, your other question is, how much does CDAC and CCO pay per hour? Is that a state issue? I am not sure on the answer on that. Does anyone want to take a shot on that? Those are two different care levels, or one is the community care, and the other one is CDAC, which is similar. And are they wildly different?
It only differs a little bit. It's basically CCO is more for unskilled care. It's for people that need less care than others, but it's still care that could be on the verge of skilled care, like a shower or a bath or whatnot. But the only other difference is CDAC has skilled care, that it's divided up between skilled and non-skilled. But yeah, it gets so complicated and it gets confusing and it gets frustrating. But really, it's just, I don't know why they have two different programs out there, but like some people really like CCO and how it works. They have a set schedule where someone comes in for an hour or two in the morning to put them or to get them out of bed in the morning. And then they have someone that can come in the evening or night and do their night routine. But for like people like myself, being on a ventilator and paralyzed, I need more of that skilled care so they can do more advanced skills or more than like a nurse would be managing all of the care and performing the care. My mom is like trained and we've done it for 35 years. But right now, we're lucky and blessed that and very grateful and fortunate that we are now receiving more care and more services and supports. So it gets really difficult for a lot of people, but you gotta get connected with the right people to work together, and then just it basically took me, well, I'll tell you all, but like a little over, well, 3.5 weeks ago, I had to go to the Mayo Clinic up in Rochester. And so I've been to the hospitals around here, but I felt really, really sick. And so I decided to go up to Rochester Mayo Clinic. And I checked basically myself in the ER. And they were wonderful, they were great. But I talked to the director of Medicaid and another person that is top level executive in my insurance company. And so they were very open and honest and got me the services that I have been requesting, but it kind of took them that till then to finally realize that I need that quality of care, that quality of life, because my mom cannot do it all on her own. But there are some good people that work for Medicaid, and there are some other people in our state that are really trying to do some good things right now. So I always say never give up hope. Try to remain strong. I know it's difficult, but we'll get there slowly and eventually. It's just it's fighting just hard, tooth and nail for what you need every day. Never give up and try to live your life to the fullest, because even the smallest things matter in life. Talk to your friends, talk to your family, talk to your neighbor. Just try to stay positive and keep a positive attitude. So I know it's tough, but it's just you have to be your own advocate and then try to advocate for others as best as we can. But is that I'm reading your question now, Dawn?
Thank you, Garrett. I always appreciate how much of a positive attitude you convey. Anyway,
We'll have to probably talk.
extremely complicated, all of the Medicaid, Medicare stuff. And in fact, I don't think I can answer Don's question. Really?
Jen or Eric may be, but I don't know for sure about MEPD. It all gets jumbled up into a mix of everything, and it should be simplified. So we're working on that too, or I am in a different group, but that'll be ongoing for the next 2 or 3 years. We're trying to simplify the system for needs-based healthcare rather than a diagnosis-based. Yes, it's a lot of ways to pay for it. But all of it just gets so complicated that it shouldn't be that way. You know, if you meet the needs, you should receive the services and the supports. It shouldn't be such a fight or a tassel. And you should don't ever feel like you're a burden, because you are a person that you really truly matter to a lot more people than you realize.
Thank you. Eric, I see you have your hand up.
So I just wanted to say 3 comments, I think. First, it's always important to know that you can advocate with all of your legislators either during the session, so starting in January to May, or even out of session. You can contact your legislators while they're at home, and most of the time it's easier to contact them and get in touch with them and talk to them when they're at home in the district, because that's when they're most accessible and most available, because they are not encumbered by their duties down at the state capitol. Number two, I wanted to point out that this legislative election season is very exciting, especially for this caucus, because you very may literally come up with, with Josh and Jen if they win, and I think there might be a third person with a disability running out there. So if they win their races, you may literally have an actual disability caucus within the state legislature with all of those 3 members having disabilities. And that will be the very first time, as far as I know, that that's ever happened in legislative history. Now that may be going back a ways, but that's as far as I know. And the third one is actually from Tucker. Tucker Cassidy texted me and he said he was sorry that he wasn't able to come to this meeting, but he had family commitments and he had family over to his house, so he was not able to make the meeting. He's sorry for not being able to come tonight. So.
Thanks, Eric. That's a really interesting point you make about having a disability caucus within the legislature, and that would be so awesome.
And a very literal disability caucus too, that, people with disabilities would be wheelchair users and things, so that people would not be able to make a mistake about whether people have disabilities or whether it's an invisible disability or, so it would be just very obvious. And I think it's very exciting what you're about to embark on this term for the elections.
Well, it might encourage any of those people with a invisible disability to just go ahead and join that legislative disability caucus.
Yeah,
they should. Is there anything anyone else wanted to bring up in terms of discussion, plans, anything in particular that we haven't covered already? Well, I don't have anything else, actually, unless anyone has anything else. You always have an opportunity to bring something up. So,
Can we make a motion to adjourn?
what's that?
Can we make a motion to adjourn?
I had one final comment though, Garrett.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm really excited about Saturday because it's the STC meeting, and so it will be Julie and Garrett, and I'll be there for another caucus, but we'll all 3 be there, and I'm excited about seeing everybody on Saturday. So.
Me too, I'm ready, I'm waiting.
Yep, and congratulations, Garrett.
My first official, but I've been attending the calls quite often. I don't make every single one, but the past 2 years I try to make as many as I can.
Yep.
But yeah, it'll be a new experience for me, I guess. So yeah, it's gonna be good. So
Congratulations on that, Garrett.
thank you.
Okay, well, I make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
I second.
Okay, thank you. We are not necessary to do anything else, right? I'm always so bad at the meeting part. Years.
No, thank you everyone for coming. It was a pleasure meeting the new folks. And then Jen, good to see you.
Yeah.
Take care. We'll be talking sometimes too. You reach out whenever you feel what you can.
Thank you.
Busy woman, so yeah, thank you, Derek, and thank you everyone else. Julie and
Yeah. Thank you, Dawn, for your good questions. And well, I'll be, okay, just put my things in line. I'll be adding Dawn, Amelia, Derek, and well, Eric, you're already on to the ballot, and which will be sent out in the next couple of days. And I will also share the Disability Coalition link to sign up very soon. Maybe I'll just get that done right after this meeting. And then we'll go from there. There will not be an August meeting, but you can remain in contact with me. That's fine. And I'll see you on the coalition meeting.
All right.
All right,
good night, everybody.
thanks. Thanks for coming in, James.